Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, the Ruel. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing his word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping his word of sincerity and the truth. Okay, I want to go into this quick lesson, going into something that happened out the camp Friday before we left from downtown. And as I was taking the signs back to my car, it was still me and two other brothers. We was the other two brothers, they had already pulled off and left. But the other two brothers, we was still down there. We was getting ready to pack up and leave. So as I was putting signs into my trunk, I heard a horn blowing, and then I heard a crash. And it was a car accident that had just happened right behind us. And so, I was putting in my driver's passenger seat, putting stuff in my passenger seat, and I look up and I look over because, that's unusual to hear something like that. And I look over and I see, a car crash. So it was a guy in a vehicle parked right behind me because, we was parked on the street. And he looked up, looked at me, and he saw me looking. So then he turned and looked. And the other brothers, they heard it too. So they kind of got out and they started looking. And then seeing, one guy come from out of the car. And he the guy that was driving one of the vehicles. And he was going to check on the other person, make sure she was okay. Because it was a guy and a lady. Both of them were young. Looked like they was mid to late 20s. And maybe early 30s, but anyways, so I went on to put everything up because I was just about done anyway. And then, the other two brothers, they went down to check on them. And then, I went down with them. And the other guy that was sitting in the vehicle behind us, he got out. But eventually, maybe like 2 minutes later, he went back and got back in his vehicle. But, the young lady, she said her head was kind of hurting, but other than that, she was fine. And she was disoriented, and he was nervous about the whole situation. First and foremost, he was upset because his car was definitely totaled. His whole tire, passenger tire, because what happened was she was coming, the light was green, and he was in he can turn left. And she can go straight. And I guess he was trying to, either he didn't see her or he was trying to beat her there. And maybe she didn't see him. But however it happened, she wound up hitting his passenger side. But you can hear her braking, or she tried to brake, but you can hear the car steering, but it was wet. So she was winded up sliding. I don't know if she was speeding. I don't know. I didn't see it. All I can do was hear. But, you heard the crash. So she did slow down because the impact didn't send neither one of the cars flying. It just kind of like crashed right into each other and kind of stopped right there on impact. But like I said, neither one of them was just seriously injured. So long story short, she was, both of them were afraid. They were scared because of the situation. And he was, saying that he didn't have that wasn't even his car. It was his girl car, and he didn't have insurance. She didn't have insurance on it, so he was messed up about that. If that's what was really the case, and she was just completely disoriented and afraid from it. I'm pretty sure she was in shock because she was scared. But nevertheless, since we've been down there teaching, we ain't ever seen no car crash. Since we have been down there, we've been down there for a few years. Ain't never seen no car crash right there or nothing like that happen. And not that it's anything like abnormal, car accidents happen all the time. But anyways, neither one of them called the police. So, I wound up calling the police and trying to get them some help, with the situation because they were blocking the intersection. And cars was having a hard time trying to get around them to go where they needed to go. And when nobody else stopped and, help them or stop and try to assist them or anything like that, everybody else was pretty much just going about their day, going about their business. And then you had even one lady, when the police was pulling up, she was speeding on through. She didn't know what was going on. And her awareness was so low. She was an older lady, though, that she sped up past the car accident while the police was out there. She wasn't even trying to stop. And we were trying to tell her to slow down because it was a car accident and you had cars trying to get around. And she could have caused another one. But it was, you know what I'm saying, the whole thing, or the whole point of what I'm trying to get into is, you know, it's just those situations like that are going to be more common. You know, just things happening to people, and it's going to put them in, you know, bad situations. But for the, you know, for the men of the Lord and for the elect and Lord, and, you know, and their families, the ones that the Lord is protecting, the Lord is going to keep you away from those situations. He's going to keep you protected from that. Because that could have easily been any one of us. You know, that could have easily been any one of us. You know, but Lord is he protecting his men and their families. This is Psalms 91:10. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. And this is why we pray before we leave the house, before we leave wherever destination we at. We pray while we there. We pray when we get there, thanking the Lord for allowing us to get there safely. You know, this is why it's very important to pray, because you don't know how your day is going to unfold. And she said something about it was her dad's birthday or something, but her dad had passed away. You know, so she, you know, you just think about her day didn't, she didn't think her day was going to turn out or end with a car crash, and it could have cost her life or him. You know, they didn't expect that their day was going to end like that, because it was at nighttime. It was pretty much around 8 o'clock. But it says, for he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. So this kind of like just touching on that point of how the Lord is he's truly protecting us. You know, it, no matter what, you know, you go to sleep at night, he protecting your dwelling place. You are literally, you're not conscious about what's going on around you. You know, you're asleep. But Yahweh Shem Abashah never sleeps. The angels, they never sleep. They're always watching. They're always protecting you. And we know that it's evil lurking around. You know, you might have people walking around trying to figure out if they can find somebody's house to open up and break into, or if they, you know, find a door that's unlocked in your vehicle or something like that, you know. And these situations are happening to everybody else around us. And I'm not saying that things won't happen to us. You know, we just know that Yahweh Shem Abashah is protecting us. You know, he keeping us safe. He watching over us and our dwelling. Like I said back in verse 10, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Because remember, we entering into the times where evil is going to be at an all-time high. And the Lord is allowing those spirits to have more access and have more free range in this world to bring more evil. You know, just like you will see more freak accidents, you know, freak things that just happen that's not natural, not normal, and happening to people. But again, the Lord is going to protect his elect. And like I said, when that happened, when this whole, you know, car accident happened, it kind of made me think about that, because you don't typically see car accidents. That's not, I mean, you will see the aftermath. You might hear a fender bender or something like that, but you don't typically just see or witness car accidents like that. You know, that's not common. And even though I didn't physically see it, I heard it when it happened, you know, and I was right there when it went down. So that's not something, you know, common. And then too, after it happened, you know, once the police got there and, you know, we left, I'm, because I always pray to the Lord, you know, to let me, you know, allow me to make it to my destination safely. But it just made me be even more extra careful, just because that happened right before me, you know. But at the same time, we know the Lord, he got us. He gonna take care of us. He watches over his elect. So I just wanted to kind of speak on that. and kind of bring that out, that happened right after camp, and that could have easily cost either one of them their lives, but the Lord didn't allow that to happen that way. So, Lord wills edifying. I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakudash, double honor to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Until next time, shalom.